one night we played this club in the West End. I can't even remember what it was called. It was something like Miramax or something like that. Anyway, and it was a brilliant gig. We all did really well. And afterwards, we were just on a high. I don't know why. And we got the stuff into our van downstairs. You could drive a van into London back then. Put the stuff in the van, and the gig was over. And we all got pissed, apart from the drummer who was driving the van, and we ended up getting into this row about, I can't even remember what it was about, which culminated in us going out into the street to get into the van, and me and the keyboard player Richard having a big argument, and he smacked me in the mouth. He punched me in the face.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the All Music Matters in That podcast. I'm your host, Brian, and I actually get to welcome some special guests today. And actually, we welcome back Stewie and Tony Ross from That Sfumato Effect, but we also got John and Ben actually tag along here too. So, how you blokes doing today?
Yeah,
very good, thank you.
Everything okay, Brian? Thanks very much.
Yeah, it's all good.
All good here, all good.
Actually, I was waiting for John to say something because he was supposed to tag in there too. But
yeah, sorry. I was looking at you and wondered if we'd started yet.
Oh yeah, trust me. That's why I gave a countdown. That's why we always need a countdown in it too. But
yeah, sorry, I'm with it now.
All right. So I guess Tony, you want to fill me in? I guess how y'all been today? I guess what y'all been up to recently?
Oh God, I think I'll let the other guys go first because we did a podcast just recently, didn't we? So nothing much has changed in terms of what I'm doing, except for it's full steam ahead with That Sfumato Effect and just producing new material and coming up with new songs for our upcoming album.
Yeah, I've been playing Assassin's Creed most of the day, so decided to take a day off, and do some gaming. So. Yeah, I've been killing soldiers and doing missions. I was, yeah, it's nice to do a bit of killing now and again,
it's got to be done.
Yeah,
games. Yeah.
Apart from that, yeah, but I've been doing some demos, which I've been recording with a look to putting them up as Sfumato Effect songs, and they're coming along quite nicely, and should have something to give the guys fairly soon, because I don't know if Tony's mentioned it, but that we're halfway through recording a new album now, so lots of material being put up for the second half of the album, which I think we've got 6 songs, haven't we, Tony?
Yeah.
Six in the can, and another 5 or 6 to go.
Yeah, I've been well, on my part, I've had I've been at home today. It's Sunday here in jolly old England, and I'm the only person in England that doesn't need a boat to get out of his front door at the moment because it's rained so much. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I've had roast pork and crackling today, which I rather like. Yeah, I know. You can't knock it. And so
I had a bacon sandwich.
Yeah, and I've just got back from the Caribbean a week ago. So I hate England.
You should have been having hot spicy food after being in the Caribbean.
Actually, it's not bad. Creole food out there isn't that hot, to be honest. And yeah, there we go. So yeah, as John says, we're kind of like 6 songs into a new album, which we kind of like. It's got a working title of "Snow Is Dancing," which is a new song. Well, it's not that new a song, but it's quite new. A new version of a song that Tony and I worked on many years ago.
A new old song.
Yeah, a new old song. So we've got Ben with us now, who is amazing guitarist, and Ben's contributing new songs to our as well. We're working on a song called Spinning Wheel, which he's written. A few more of mine, which I've written, and a couple of John's. So, we'll hopefully end up with something that won't be too bad with any luck.
Yeah, that's that difficult second album, isn't it?
Yeah, isn't it weird?
I'm pretty confident that it'll be as good, if not better than the first. So
I hope so.
We shall see, won't we?
We've got a few songs in the can already, which we've written a while back, and a couple of mine which I wrote a while back, which Tony has lent his amazing production abilities to. So we're already there. We've got a couple of Johns which we've already recorded. So we're kind of like getting there. This album's going to be a bit more eclectic than the last one. I think Where Are the Angels was very, as a first effort, it had a dark side and a light side. It worked, but I think this album has got some really strong songs on it. In fact, stronger than Where Are the Angels. So really looking forward to getting this together and starting to get the music out there bit by bit. We've actually written and recorded a reggae vibe song called People Watching, which I wrote, which has just turned out brilliantly, and Ben did some fantastic guitar work to it, some ideas to it, which has really brought it to life, and really pleased with it. And that's already out there, Brian. So that song, really pleased with it. It's one of the best things we've ever done, in my view. But then again, I'm a complete reggae nut, so there you go.
It's a great song. It's an absolutely great song. But to counteract that, we've got two songs. One already recorded called Just Another Fool, and one of Ben's called Spinning Wheel, which we're in the process of finishing off now, which are both 7 minutes long. So we're going into more of the prog world, really. So we've got like 3.5 minute reggae song. We've got two 7 minute. I would call my song Just Another Fool a little bit of a prog, an adventure into prog rock. Ben's with Spinning Wheel. It's Jumping Off the Edge of a Spinning Wheel is the full title for it. Is more of a kind of psychedelic Beatles type vibe, which we're really excited about because that's coming along really good. Stuart's got another one, Snow Is Dancing, which is another great song. We're working on that. I've been working on that. I've been working on bass line for that. Ben's got a couple more coming along. We've got what's it? Can't remember what it's called now. I've lost my track of what it's called, Ben. But there's Man About Town, which I think is a good one, and Take the Money Now, which is
Take the Money Now. That's the second one that we're looking at.
Take the Money Now is kind of a 3.5 minute real, growly drums, bass, and guitar song, which is another good one that I'm looking forward to getting finished off.
As you can see, Ben lives in a penthouse in Manhattan with a grand piano behind him. Tony lives in a warehouse in Berlin, as you can see.
That's Abbey Road, I'll have you know.
Oh, is it? Abbey Road? Oh, blimey. And me and John live in, normal places.
We live in the slums of England.
Actually, I want to say we're not special enough to have the luxury that Tony and Ben have. So yeah.
No, I know. I can't be bothered to put a background of some luxurious place, so you just see my curtains. and my bedstead. Say hello to my pussycat.
Oh, there. This
is Tommy. Oh, look.
Just a little mascot. Oh, you gotta hurt him now. What are you doing?
He didn't like being woken up.
Yeah, I just wanted to add in the album. We released. I think the band had a bit of a break. We released "Where Are the Angels," and then we released a couple of singles. I think actually the year after that we managed to release a single, which was a song that John wrote called "Don't Come Easily," and that's how we got to know Ben, because Ben's provided an absolutely awesome guitar solo for that song, and I think that was the one song that we recorded that year. And then for various reasons, maybe John might want to elaborate, we just took a bit of a break, and I think we released a couple of other songs that Stuart wrote after that. Stuart wrote an excellent song called "I Don't Know Who You Are," which I think we managed to release the same year or just shortly after that. And then we had another song called "Fire," which didn't appear on all these songs didn't appear on the Angels album. And basically after that, I think we took a bit of a break. John took a year off. You can ask him why in a minute. And then we suddenly, I think actually around about October, decided to come back together and decided we were going to record the new album. So the new album will probably have those singles that didn't appear on "Where Are the Angels?" And then the idea is we're going to add 3 or 4 new songs. And I think there might be a bonus track. I think I remixed and re-recorded one song that appeared on the Angels album, which was called "Sweet Scented Cherry Bomb," which is a song that John wrote. Fantastic song. And you can ask him about that. And I think that's where we are now. So as John rightly said, we're recording Spinning Wheel, and then we'll take on the other songs. So I think we're looking at maybe a 9-track, 10-track album.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
that's good to hear. But I do have to say, because I already interviewed Stu and Tony about all the stuff here too, but I think a lot of questions are going to be mainly for John and Ben here too. So I guess let's go ahead and start right there. So I guess let's start with Ben, because I think John took up a good amount of time right there too with some of his storytelling. But I guess, Ben, how'd you find these handsome devils here? Did they come to you?
Yeah. I'm just trying to think now. I've been playing with John in another of his bands, Drums and Wires. And we released an EP a couple of years ago now, wasn't it? I think, John. Ins, Outs and Roundabouts. And I think Sfumato were recording "Don't Come Easily" at that time, and John just invited me to add a guitar solo on it. And it's all kind of just kicked off from there, really. The guys just really loved what I did on the track and just invited me to play a bit more. Simple as that, really.
Yeah, Don't Come Easily was going to be a Drums and Wires song. But for various reasons, it never really made the cut, because we never really recorded a proper version of it with Drums and Wires. Although we did 3 demos about a year and a half ago with Ray, the drummer from Drums and Wires, who is kind of faded away into the background at the moment because we're doing everything remotely. He likes to record live drums. It's a very slow process. So I got involved with Tony and Stuart about 7 or 8 years ago. So I've always had 2 projects on the go at least. Drums and Wires, Sfumato, and we did have a brief period where me, Ben, and Tony were putting some stuff together as a band called Spiralized, which is something that we still intend to do some releases for that. But yeah, Drums and Wires kind of stopped happening, really. Me and Ray, the drummer, were busy. We've been busy the last. Apart from the year I've just taken off, the 5 years before that, we were both playing live with a touring band called Squire, and we were all over the country doing that stuff, live gigs. We supported a band called Secret Affair, on two 15-date tours in, I think, 2019 and 2021. That kind of stopped, and then Ray, the drummer, had some shoulder problems. He had some back problems, so he decided to take some time off, and that's when we decided, me and Ben and Tony decided to do the Spiralize project. That's what we've been doing, really. I mean, as I say, I took a year off. I totally lost my musical mojo. It was quite a big disappointment to actually retire from the live scene, which kind of G'd me up, kept me going. Playing live in front of people is always a great thing to do. So I decided to retire for a year, grow cabbages and grow potatoes, play video games, and just drink myself into oblivion, really. So
rock and roll lifestyle, John.
So yeah, I'm joking about the last.
So nothing's changed then, John.
No.
We were doing that when we were 18.
Yeah,
you guys are trying to live the life of Keith Richards and the Rolling Stones.
The thing is, as you get older, Brian, and you I don't know whether you acknowledge this or not, but as you get older, you take your time with things a bit more, and so writing and recording becomes a much longer process than it used to be when we were young. 30 odd years ago. You just go in and you just write, record, and it just be like automatic. Now it's all geared around how you are as a person and how your daily health is. And Tony and I have both had health problems, fairly significant health problems, in fact. And I won't go into it, but the song Fire, which is coming out on the new album, Fire That Keeps On Burning, in brackets, little brackets, is about my struggle with my, I was diagnosed after, in England, when you turn 60, you get a bowel cancer, bowel cancer test automatically on the National Health. And they found lots of issues with me, so I had to have a major op. I'm okay, I'm fine. I'm not going to die, but anytime soon. But that song was written after that. So what I'm getting at here is that as you grow older, time takes its toll on your body and on your thinking and on your whole life, and you just realize that there's no point rushing anything. You just take it easy and just work on things. So it takes, it might take us 2 years to record and release 9 songs on an album, but that's okay. As long as none of us, none of us dies, which I don't think we're in any danger of doing at the moment, but you know what I mean? It's kind of, that's just how it is. And, but the nicest thing about it, the aging process is, I found as a writer, because writing songs to me is all I do, is everything to me. I'm not a producer, I'm not technical. I write, and I write lyrics and I write songs because that's all I can do. But the nicest thing about growing older is it gives you that experience in life and that ability to interpret situations in life that I couldn't have appreciated 30 years ago. I couldn't have written a song, 30 years ago.
I don't know if you're like me, Stuart,
totally
I found that, after, as you said, being young and in the band, and sort of like learning the ropes and all that, I have found that I spent about 20 years away from music while I brought up my family, and I didn't pick up an instrument, for 20 years. And then when you and I and Tony decided to reform That Sfumato Effect, that kind of drove me into writing again. And I did find that my writing and my playing, even though I'd had 20 years away, had become much more accomplished. Because of that because of that experience, that time away, you know, I had a lot more to say, and I find that the melodies just come in my head now. Nothing like I couldn't have written a song 30, 40 years ago as good as Sweet Scented Cherry Bomb. It was just not in my makeup.
No,
you know?
That's right. That's exactly it. So basically, we're a bunch of old blokes who are just
old
challenging.
fellas.
Who are just challenging. Apart from Ben, actually Ben isn't that old, but he's a bit younger than us. But he's kind
I was going to say, just speak for yourself, Stuart,
sorry,
please,
Ben.
if you don't mind.
You're not quite as old as we are, but you're getting there.
Ben is the second most handsome man in the band.
But yeah, it brings its own benefits, and I think that's a real big thing. And aside from that, just getting together with these guys, online and just collaborating and listening to what Tony does. Tony is the powerhouse behind the band. He really brings our songs to life, and he adds so much to the arrangements and the production and the engineering, which he's brilliant at. We couldn't do it without Tony, but he, having that ability, it's a little bit like that. It is a little bit like that, except he's a complete idiot in real life.
We are not worthy, really.
And but he knows that. But I'm
total idiot in real life. I do know
a
that.
guy I've known for 40 odd years, 45 years.
You used to be an idiot, Tony. Not so much of an idiot these days.
But he's fantastic.
Well, it goes back to what Stuart was saying about age. I mean, you do temper, age does temper you a little bit. Although sometimes I've had my challenges, I must admit. Producing or being a producer from afar has its challenge. I mean, and I say this to the guys all the time when we meet, man, I just wish we were in the same room. I could play something on piano and then John could say, oh, that sounds crap, that in my song, but we have to do everything by messenger or by email or by video conferencing. So I think a lot of bands did that during COVID. Practically that was the only way that people could collaborate. And that's how basically it's almost as if we're still in COVID, I mean, it's almost like as if we're still producing and writing songs, in that way. So it has advantages and disadvantages. The advantage, of course, is that when I'm actually producing, those guys aren't anywhere in the room, so I can do what the hell I like, right? So
thank God.
I can just do
works.
And the disadvantage is, like when we did Fire, and I always love to tell this story because it makes me laugh, is that I spent 3 weeks coming up with a production for Fire, and it sounded a bit like something, like a Genesis track, lots of keyboards, and it sounded like something from one of their 80s, 90s albums. And Stuart listened to it, and I was driving the car, actually, and I almost crashed because then I think I read his message. He said, no, I don't like this. And I thought, you spent 4 weeks doing this. And I love it.
I know.
You just wanted to be like, you fucking.
Yeah, he said it's not right for the song.
Well, okay.
Yeah. He said it's not right for the song. And I went away, with my tail between my legs. And I thought, okay, well, we'll start from again. And actually, I thought, right, I'm not going to use keyboards. I'm just going to I'm not a great guitarist. Ben's a fantastic guitarist. I wish I could play guitar as well as he can. But I thought I'll give it a go anyway. I'm just going to write a complete guitar-based song. And I did it. There wasn't a single keyboard on it. And actually, I prefer it to that very first version that I produced and came up with, and the one that Stuart threw out. In fact, it suits the song a lot better. So there are advantages and disadvantages working the way that we work together. But at the end, we always get to the point where we want to be, and that's what I really love about this collaboration. As I don't like to use the word collaboration. Everyone uses it because I like to think we're a band, but I mean that's what happens in the end. We all throw our 10 penneth in the ring, and we come out with something that we're all proud of. I recently just took delivery. Since we got back together, I always wanted to have the Angels album on vinyl. I mean, growing up, I'm a vinyl junkie. So I managed to sort out all the tech stuff, and our mastering engineer, Darren Smith, who masters all of our songs, very talented guy, mastered it for vinyl. So I sent it off to Elastic Stage. I think it's quite common. It's a pretty cheap way now to get your music on vinyl. And it came back and I listened to it and it was fantastic.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It just made me realize just what a great accomplishment that album was. And funny, actually, I think the songs sound better on vinyl than they sounded on anything. Better than on streaming, better on CD. It sounds really, really good. Some of the tracks really come to life. So, yeah, I think there are challenges with remote collaboration, but it's awesome.
I think
I've always felt really guilty about, and I remember that Fire when we were recording Fire, and you were putting it together. I've always felt quite guilty about this, but I have to stick to my guns. I know what I want in a song, and Tony always says, "Give me some reference tracks to your song," because I'll record something on guitar and vocals at home in here, and then send it to Tony, and he'll say, "Give me some reference points." So I do. And, you know, I always feel terribly guilty when Tony comes up with something and doesn't quite work for me. And I have to go back to him and say, "Oh, sorry, mate, it's not really that great. Just not really what I wanted or what I was thinking of." And, you know, because he's put so much effort into doing it. And it happened with I Can See Your Face on the first album. We went round and round the houses on that, because I said it's got to be like Kate Bush's song, you know, that there's a Kate Bush song called Moments of Pleasure, and it's got to be like that. It's got to be empty. And Tony went, "Okay, I got it. I'll take it on board." And he did it, and he just made it work. And Fire was like that, but it doesn't detract from the fact that for me, the guy that wrote the song is like, "Oh shit, I feel so bad because he's done all this work." But
yeah, in the old days. That's the good thing about remote collaboration, because in the old days, if you'd been in the same room, there'd have been a fist fight.
If we'd been in Chestnut Studios down in Surrey, John, you know, there would have been a fight, wouldn't there? Not a fight. Yeah. Like, "Oh, bloody hell, come on, guys."
Tony would have thrown his keyboard on the floor and stormed out.
But that's the thing about age. I mean, obviously with age, because I mean, as John rightly says, I mean, John and I were in bands before That Sfumato Effect. We played in quite a few bands. Some of the names are just so dreadful. I'm not even going to mention them on this podcast. Yeah, that was the one. Anyway, I mean,
Tony, what'd you do?
If I played a guitar riff and John didn't like it, or the lead singer, I'd just storm out. I mean, you know, I didn't have a car. I was about 15 miles from where I live, but I would just down my guitar and start walking. And that was just because nobody liked my guitar riff. So with age, you know, just to swallow it a little bit more and realize
I remember that so well.
That was one rehearsal that I had this crappy old guitar and I played something, and I think you said, or Jill said something. Jill said, "They don't like that." I said, "I hate this band. I'm quitting. That's it. I'm off." A bit like when George Harrison announces he's leaving the band in the middle of that Beatles documentary. It was a bit like that, you know. That's it. I've left the band. I'm out. You know, and then walking home, realizing I've got no way to get home by myself, and then coming back and saying, "Yeah, actually, can I join again? And can you give me a lift home?"
No, that's nothing. My band Pillar Fights Back in the 80s, which there's a Live Tonight poster behind me, which is one of my, you know, in the late 80s we played in all over the London circuit. We supported a few bands that were big at the time, and great experience. I played in some great venues. I played the Marquee. I played all the great venues in London. One night we played this club in the West End. I can't even remember what it was called. It was something like Miramax or something like that. Anyway, and it was a brilliant gig. We all did really well, and afterwards we were just on a high. I don't know why. And we got the stuff into our van downstairs. You could drive a van into London back then. Put the stuff in the van, and the gig was over. And we all got pissed, apart from the drummer who was driving the van. And we ended up getting into this row about, I can't even remember what it was about, which culminated in us going out into the street to get into the van, and me and the keyboard player, Richard, having a big argument, and he smacked me in the mouth. He punched me in the face. I fell over. Sorry, he was going to punch his brother, Tim, the lead guitarist, in the face, right? And I stood between them and went, "You're not doing this, guys." Richard said, "Get out of the way, and I'll hit you, Stuart." And he hit me straight in the nose. And I went down like a sack of spuds. The drummer got up and grabbed Richard. And it was like this Spinal Tap moment. And it was absolutely hilarious. The next day, it was like, "That's it. I'm leaving the band. But we didn't. I was like 28 years old or something. It was just brilliant fun. Anyway, sorry.
Needless to say, he actually regrets that now. So
Yeah, just fantastic.
that's all good.
All bands have those moments, don't they? But not at our age, especially when you work remotely. So
I mean, I try to at least be the arbiter or the guy in the middle, to say the least, right there too. So I just want to make music. I just wanted to pop. That's her deal. So that's all I ask for when I do my music. But
it all comes back to the music, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
so far, yeah.
Personal differences are okay, but musical differences are the killer. So
yeah,
as long as you're all on the same wavelength, and that you can always mend the bridges, can't you? You know, I'm sure me and Stuart and Tony in the original Sfumato Effect in 81 when we were doing it.
Yeah, 81 week.
Long time. 42, well, over 40 years ago. So we had our bust ups, we had our, arguments, our hissy fits, but we always got to the next week's rehearsal and sorted out our differences because the music was great. We loved doing it. We should have been a lot bigger than we were, but there you go.
We need to be the Rolling Stones status at this point. So yeah.
It's not just about that, is it? It is about all bands. They think I'm sure all bands go through, oh, we're going to be big, but when it comes down to it, you do what you love doing, and if you do something that you're all proud of, which we have done with our album, we're all immensely proud of it, and it doesn't matter if only 5 people listen.
I was going to say that, John. That's absolutely right. For us at our age, it isn't about selling albums or selling records or whatever streams, downloads, whatever you want to call it these days, because music is the nature of how music is bought by punters, by the public now has changed so much. It isn't about that at all to me. It doesn't matter to me.
No.
What matters to me is legacy. What matters to me is that my grandchildren, and I'm lucky enough to have a few grandchildren now, and they're coming along thick and fast and growing up. And what matters to me is that when I die, I want my kids to go, my granddad, he wrote songs, and he wrote this song, and he wrote this song about his dad called I Don't Know Who You Are, because I don't know who my dad is. I know who he is, but I don't know him personally that well, because he was his distant figure. He doesn't. So it's about, for me, it's about writing lyrics that I hope one day my grandchildren will go, oh yeah, my granddad did that, and that's all it is. There's no. It doesn't matter. Nothing else matters, really.
I think that's such a great song, Stuart, because I don't think any of us ever really, however close you are to your parents, you never really know them. You don't know their background, you don't know their history, you don't know the life they went through. And it's not until you get to kind of our age where you think, my kids don't really know where I come from. They don't know what I've been through. They don't know what I've done. And to leave the music behind as a kind of reminder, which is an eternal thing, it's always going to be there.
Yeah.
Is a great legacy.
It's digital now. Never go. It'll always be there.
Whether you're
point out the reason why we never made it big, because John quit the band.
Yes, good point. Splitter.
Yeah,
you son of a bitch. So yeah.
Son of a. We struggled on with a bass player called Sean. I got in contact with recently, actually, the other day. Sean Clark, but we tried to keep going, but we were on the verge of stardom. We were there, and then John just got up and left, and joined Squire. So
I was
no grudges.
I was poached. With the promise of riches. Record contracts, as much gold as I could eat,
Yeah.
But
Vespas
I would have done the same thing,
free
John.
Vespa.
Looking back,
I did. I mean, I had a good stint with Squire in those days. After I left, we made some albums, we made some singles, we did a lot of gigs. But again, that was another band that never really broke through, so it kind of faded out. And then I joined a rock band after that, which was fun. We were doing covers of things like Thin Lizzy and REO Speedwagon and the Monkees and all sorts of stuff, and I really enjoyed that for about 2 years, just getting up there doing this stuff with a rock band, playing Stranglers bass lines to rock songs, basically, is the way I look at it. I wasn't singing, I wasn't writing the songs, I was just playing my craft, which was bass playing, and boy did I go wild, and but then I calmed down after that.
But it's worth saying that at this point, Brian, that John's band Squire that he was in is that in the UK there's quite a big mod kind of ska movement in the UK. A lot of people love that style of music, and Squire were a kind of mod band in the mold of, I guess, I hope you don't mind me saying, John, in the mold of like the Jam or Secret Affair, who John's band supported. So they were kind of, that's where they were, and they had a reasonable career for a while, and did okay gigs. And John live, I've seen John live with Squire. John's very good live. He's very together, except when his bass amp doesn't work. But it kind of it hit me watching them a couple of years ago when I went to see John with Squire. It hit me how good he was. I thought, oh yeah, I've forgotten how good John was live, because we record together. We don't see each other live, but live he's very good. He's a good performer and good bass player, great bass player.
Thank you, Stuart. I love you.
You're welcome, my
You're
old mate.
brilliant. You're a brilliant singer too.
Checks in the post, John. It's £100, right?
Yeah, it's already on the way, mate. On the way.
I was going to say, was John more of like how Gene Simmons would kind of play his bass? Kind of always do it like the whole sideways and everything. Ever do a little tongue action or anything like
John's
that?
left-handed.
I'll beg your pardon.
I don't know. I thought most people would be like rebellious or something, so I thought maybe he was like doing theatrics or something like that.
No, so. My bass playing is kind of complicated. I don't really have time to pose and show off on stage, but it's all a matter of trying to work out the 100 notes a minute that I'm playing and trying to remember them. But I enjoy playing live. I really enjoy playing live, and it's something that I really missed when myself and Ray, the drummer, departed from Squire. We departed from Squire's live gigs because Ray wasn't up to it, and Ray was the man with the transport. So he couldn't ferry me to the gigs anymore, so I had to bow out as well. So it was a shame. But I do love sitting in my cozy little house recording my cozy little bass lines with this fabulous band, and that's what keeps me going on this. I did take a year off. I had a few personal issues, but these guys kept me going, didn't you?
Yeah, we did.
Bloody blokes.
I just want to say the addition of Ben coming into our little mix has worked really well. As I said earlier, people watching, which is out there now, and personally, I'm massively proud of, because I love reggae music. But Ben brought something to that song which I didn't expect, and he came up with some lines some guitar lines, which Tony doubled with brass and stuff like that in the song, and it's just a joyous song. And Ben's contribution to that was huge and really good. I was in St. Lucia for 2 weeks recently because I'm lucky enough to get out to the Caribbean because I absolutely love the Caribbean. And I played it to a Rasta on the beach, but I met a guy called oh God, what was his name? I can't remember his name. But I played it to this guy I met on the beach, and we were chatting away. And Malachi, that was his name. And I've recorded a reggae song, Malachi, and he said, "Yeah, man, you have." And I got my phone out and I played People Watching to him, and I said, "Look, I know it's white reggae, it's not black reggae." And he said, "No, there's no white or black reggae, it's reggae." And he said, "This is a good vibe, man." And I was just delighted. I was so proud, pleased. That
he said the bass playing is particularly good.
Bass playing was rubbish, but everything else was. But no, he just, I was just so made up that a guy that
to hear that from somebody.
Yeah, I mean, he had tattoos. Showing me all his tattoos of Bob Marley and the Lion of Judah and all the rest of it. Proper Rasta man, and he thought it was okay, and I thought, okay, wow, I've done something that I'm really proud of here because we've done something. We've recorded a song. Tony took that weird little song of mine that I couldn't bloody realise how I was going to write, how it was going to work, until one day I came back from, I can't remember where I was, probably Antigua a year ago, and I said to Tony, it's a reggae song. And Tony went, okay, I got it. And he did it. And honestly, if you can play that to a Rasta man and the Rasta man goes, good vibe, man, for me, yeah, that's all I want. Cracked it.
I remember thinking when you declared I've got it, it's got to be a reggae song. I remember thinking to myself, he's gone mad. He's gone mad.
Oh God, he's gone mad.
Reggae, Sfumato doing reggae, but
yeah,
my God, it is a fantastic song. It is a great song.
Works, just so works.
Yeah.
And
did the Rasta really love the guitar solo as well? I'm sure he did.
Well, we all do.
He did. Funnily enough, he didn't really. No, you know what they're. Well, I don't know whether you know what they're like, but they kind of. It's all about the vibe. It's all about. Is it jumping? Is it just doing the right thing? He wouldn't talk about the actual specific parts of the song. He'd just go, the vibe is good, man. It's not a white song. It's not a white reggae. It's not a black reggae song. It's a reggae song, good man. And we just fist punch. And there you go, Brian. And we're like, wow. Me and Claire, my wife, were like, bloody hell, that's fantastic. So Tony, you and when we said it's a reggae song, and you went, I can't do a reggae song. You totally nailed it. I told you would, and you did.
Yeah, but I mean, again, Ben hasn't had too much to say, but we'll sing his praises anyway. He can just sit there. But I mean, it was the guitar that made the song, quite honestly.
Yeah.
Because,
play the guitar. There's nothing nothing out of the ordinary.
No, but I mean, the thing is, well, one, I wanted to go back earlier on and say, it's just, I'm so happy I don't have to play guitar anymore. I mean, it's such a relief. I got enough to do without, playing all the instruments and programming them as well. So, but there again, there was something about that song that was really cool. I remember we had a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and I just said, yeah, well, every reggae song I listen to always kind of hits with the guitar on the downbeat, But the Ben was actually playing like a rhythm, sort of down and up beats. And normally, I suppose your traditional reggae guitar player wouldn't play that style. But that's what I do like about the way that we work together, is the fact, we bring all our own influences. And so, I mean, Ben, you probably grew up playing just, rock music. I don't know what type of rock music, but he brings that influence in. And as Stuart said, it's not, black man reggae. I don't want to use the word black, but it's not that kind of traditional reggae, but it works. I think that was really cool. I'm pleased how the song turned out. So I just added a little bit of keyboard, a bit of piano, just a traditional bit of organ there. And I wanted to, because I know that a lot of this music, especially ska punk music from the 1980s, 90s, always had this brass section, like Fun Boy 3 and other bands, for example, would have this brass section.
UB40.
I thought, well, I've got to introduce some brass in here somewhere,
Yeah.
especially on the bits that link the choruses and verses. And I use native instruments. They've just filed for insolvency, actually, but that's another story. Most people know that. But anyway, I used Contact Player, and there was an instrument there, and I think it was called Brass Section. And the patch that I used was called Kingston Brass. So, I mean, you know, I said, there was noticing.
Yeah.
I'm just going to use the brass patch was called Kingston Brass. So there you are. We're going to use that on this song. And it actually turned out quite well because it provides the sort of, you know, as I said, the brass supporting the guitar when it links two sections of the song. And then at the end, there's a little brass melody going. Yeah, so I'm really pleased the way that it turned out because I had no idea it was going to be a reggae song until Stuart came back and, as he said it's going to be a reggae song. I had no idea what type of song it was going to be, but yeah, and that will be on the new album. Plug for the new album.
It will be on the new album, and oh my god, all the feedback I've had from that song so far has been massively positive, and a lot of people that know us have said to me, "Oh, it doesn't sound like a Sfumato song." I said, "No, it's not. It's a reggae Sfumato song. It's different. It's different, and
it's probably the only one we'll ever do."
Yeah, maybe.
It's always like,
if I had my way, I'd record a whole album of reggae music, but you know, that's just me. Yeah.
Well,
that's pretty cool.
The Police back in the 1980s, didn't they? I mean, songs like Roxanne and
that's what I was going to say.
The bed's too big without you, and some tracks from Zenyatta Mondata. Actually, I've got quite a bit of a reggae feel.
Yeah,
that's kind of what Ben's guitar reminded me of. More of the Police type, white reggae type guitar sounds and stuff, and the solo as well. You know, which made it, you know, different.
Yeah.
I do have to ask, actually, and I think everyone can kind of pitch in here too, I guess. What really was it that made you guys want to be like musicians and be part of this group? So I think Ben was kind of dragged into it, so I don't know if he was kind of forced against his will or something like that there too. But I'll start with Ben, and then John, you can go afterwards.
I think Ben was introduced because I asked him to play a solo on one of my songs. So yeah, take it from there, Ben. I think that was Don't Come Easily, wasn't it?
It was Don't Come Easily. Yeah, we were just playing in drums and wires at the time. I think because there were several versions of Don't Come Easily, wasn't there? I think you were doing a version with Sfumato and just invited me to play guitar solo on it. Or actually, did I actually play guitar solo on the drums and wires version? I get lost. Too many songs, too many versions.
No. What we're forgetting here is Spiralize, Ben, because we did that as a different project.
No idea.
Myself, you, and Tony did a version of it with me singing it for a project called Spiralized, and then Stuart came along and said, "Actually, I want to do this as a Sfumato song." So we were just about to release it as a Spiralized song. Do you remember? I'm sure you remember, Tony. We were just about to put it
back now. Yes.
Yeah, we were just about to put it out. We got Smudge to master it. It was all complete. It was my vocals with all my backing vocals. And then Stuart came along and said, "Let's do this as a Sfumato song," because Stuart was taking a little bit of a break at that time. And then he came back and said, "Look, I've got my mojo back. I want to do this as a Sfumato song." So we just on the cusp of releasing it, we withdrew it, and Stuart decided to do the vocal on it, which he did.
I think
so. You always make a Spiral would have been huge. Another band that you would have been huge in, John, but Stuart just nicked the song.
That's right.
What it was at that time, when I mean, it was a while back now, but when I first heard "Don't Come Easily," I couldn't get my head around it. I couldn't work it out what I could add to it. And with John's songs or Tony's songs, and now with Ben's songs, I always feel I need to add something to it, whether that be lyrical or vocally, melody wise. I need to kind of add my own stamp to it, or do something that those guys wouldn't have thought of. And Cherry Bomb is a classic example of that. I added lots of stuff to that, which John fortunately liked. But with Don't Come Easily, I just couldn't get my head around it for ages. And then it suddenly hit me. Because Tony and it was all about Tony's production. Tony had got this great idea and this great sort of jungle type drumming moment where Ben's guitar solos and Ben's solo takes off, and the rest of the song really goes nuts after 3 or 4 minutes. And he had all this fantastic sort of, well, it wasn't it kind of like ethnic drumming, and it just hit me. I suddenly thought, okay, right, okay, I need to do something different with this.
Stuart, I think you're talking about Just Another Fool now.
No, I'm talking about Don't Come Easily.
Oh, right.
Oh, sorry, not Don't Come Easily. I'm talking about
called Lost Your Way. I mean,
Lost Your Way.
We released it as Lost Your Way. Yeah.
Yeah, Don't Come Easily was one that you came back out of hiding, and we did that one.
Shit, I'm so old I can't even remember which song I've done. Sorry.
Love don't come easily here.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah, but I was gonna get on to Lost Your Way, because that's another one that's gonna be on the new album. So
we are old.
Carry on, Stuart.
We are so old and befuddled. We don't even know our own music anymore.
No,
There could be a big edit there, don't worry.
Say Jesus, we're old now. So yeah.
Carry on with your story about Lost Your Way, because
the Don't Come Easily was fine, and we did that, and it worked really well, and yeah. But the song I couldn't get my head around was Lost Your Way, which is going to be on the new album. So I'll continue my story. I feel like a complete knob now. Anyway, but Lost Your Way, I had lost my way with it completely. I didn't know where I was going with it, and then suddenly started thinking when Tony came up with the production, it was like, yeah, okay, I can do something with this. And so we started. I looked up Lost Your Way I googled it and found out Maori chants for it. Okay, and I started doing this Maori chants in the background, New Zealand type thing, and it just started to come together. And I thought, yeah, I could do this song, because I'm not a 7-minute song person. I'm a 3-minute song pop songwriter. But these guys, they do good, solid, long kind of prog songs, and so that song was Lost Your Way. I kind of came up with that idea, and Ben's guitar solo was so massive, it just goes nuts, and it just worked. It just worked really well.
Yeah. Well,
and I think that the song was in 2 parts, wasn't it? It was half of it was lyrics and verses, and then it goes off into about a 3-minute jam out, a prog jam out. Yeah. And I think what you did, Stuart, is quite rightly said at the time that the song is too long. People are going to get bored, and then you came up with this idea of the Maori chant. And also the spoken word stuff at the end, like you did on Cherry Bomb. There's a thing in the sky.
Yeah.
There's a boat down there, and it's ready to leave. And that kind of kept the interest going while we were doing all this prog stuff in the background, and Ben was going nuts on the guitar, and the bass was doing like all sorts of John Entwistle type things, and it kind of made the whole second half a lot more interesting, because we had this chant and all that in the background. And I think it's a work of genius myself, but then again, I wrote it, so I would say that.
Yeah, it's purely down to Tony's idea of putting in those kind of like bongo drumming stuff. And it just immediately, I thought, oh yeah, I know where this is going now. And it was like opening a door and suddenly I was in another world, and I stood here, right here, recording that song and thinking, yeah, I'm loving this because it's right there. And before that, I didn't really love the song, but after that, I really did.
Yeah.
So,
We did release that Lost Your Way. That actually sort of eventually, it was going to be released as a spiralized song with Stuart's vocal, but then with John's vocal. But after Stuart, you did your vocal, we released it as That Sfumato Effect song. But I remember how the song came about, because I think actually Ben's got a story to tell, because I think actually the ending of the song, I asked you once, Ben, how did you come up with it? And it was kind of a jam, wasn't it? I think you put on what do you call those pedals where you hit the repeat pedal, you hit the button and it keeps playing.
yeah.
Over it.
Yeah, it's
And
just a looper thing from what I remember, because I think John's original demo was about 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And I just kind of loved some of the musical aspects in it, and I just thought, yeah, we can really extend this and go crazy on the end of it. So I just kept looping one section and then just
That's right. Yeah, I remember now.
bass guitar over it.
Yeah, and I think that made the song, because before I've heard demos that John did a long time ago, when the song was a 4.5 minute version, and I remember then John sent over, oh, we got another demo of this song, and Ben's added some guitar bits, and then he went on for about 7.5 minutes, and that gave me the whole inspiration. As I was inspired by Kula Shaker, because they're a band that I like, and I know that they have the mystic Indian type of rhythm section. So
I saw them last night, Tony.
You did what?
I went to see them in Brighton last night.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
They
were brilliant, obviously. Yeah.
Were they good?
They were amazing, yeah.
Of course they were
Absolutely
good.
brilliant. They're one of the best live bands I've ever seen.
Fantastic.
Sorry,
So that's where I got the inspiration for Lost Your Way, because I mean I love
Oh,
the
that's
stuff
interesting.
with Shaker, and I thought, well, okay, again,
Govinda.
I went off to my palette of software instruments, and I found an Indian drum kit, and I thought this was it. So I actually layered traditional drums with the Indian drums and kind of mix them in, so there's a little bit of both. And I was really just inspired, obviously, by the 3.5 minute guitar solo that Ben came up with, and that gave me the whole idea. And the song just took on a life from that. And John actually, I think he could tell me a little bit more about this, but it was about somebody. It's a personal story about a friend he knew who had mental health issues. So towards the end of the song, we worked in lots of laughing and lots of references and a nod to Dark Side of the Moon. And I put lots of guitar effects, making the guitar sort of phase come in and out, and sort of laughing figures in the background. So it took on a bit of a psychedelic life of its own. And then when Stuart added his chanting, because we did all that before Stuart came in, and then actually added the vocal, and then when Stuart added the little Mari chanting, it just it was the icing on the cake. It just topped it all.
And then I swapped out. I decided to positize it. Is that a word? At the end, I thought, okay, because I'd read John's lyrics, and I thought at the end of this song it needs to be a positive message. So I just switched it to Find Your Way instead of Lost Your Way, which is simple, but it just kind of find your way, and it just the culmination after Ben's solo. It just, for me, it kind of worked,
Yeah, I mean that was kind of something, when I wrote the song. As Tony said, I wrote it about a friend of mine. Many years ago. He was a bright, brilliant lyric writer. He wrote songs. He managed bands, and then sadly he got into the drug scene and totally fried his brain, and ended up in an institution. Totally, he just lost all sanity, and I used to visit him, and I wrote that song for him.
Nice.
It was, and Stuart added the bit at the end, as he said, he positized it. I don't know if that's a word, Stuart, but it is now.
Add a little bit of positivity to it, into a dark subject, we should say.
No, he positized it. But yeah, I think Stuart wrote the part that I didn't, and the actual message was there, and it's something that I totally agree with. That I was kind of telling this guy, why are you here? They're going to keep you here forever if you don't do something about it.
Yeah.
And Stuart kind of added the little bit at the end where I should have been saying to him, find your way, you know. There's a boat down there waiting for you to get on it, and it's ready to leave, you know. And it was brilliant. Yeah. I mean, Stuart kind of wrote the end of the song there. The bit that I didn't.
A good idea, John. Just added to one of your good ideas. That's all, and it works. That's what we do. We kind of like just add to each other's.
But not forgetting the fact that the music on the last 3 minutes of that song is something to be heard, to be believed, really. Stuart's vocal and all that, great, but I mean, Ben's guitar is phenomenal. Tony's keyboard parts, the drums really rock out at the end of that song. So that's a great.
Where it's going to go on the album to you?
And I think it'll have to be the album
number, couldn't it?
It's got to be the album finisher, hasn't it?
Yeah, probably will be. Yeah.
But this comes back to your original question, Brian, is why did we get into music? And talking about the song actually reminds me how much emotive. I mean, it's all about emotions. And I know that I got into music because it was emotive. I mean, I still listen to some songs now, and you know, I mean, unashamedly, you know, the tears come up and whatever, because it, you know, I think music has to hit you emotionally, and if you get an emotional response from it. So I remember that actually when I was a teenager, just listening to music in my bedroom, and I just had this emotional response, and I think that's why I decided that I didn't know then that I wanted to be a musician. I just enjoyed listening to music. But then again, pretty quickly, when I met Stuart and John, decided that I was going to try and learn to play an instrument. And I'm playing in a band, you know, either from my background, you either wanted to be a football star or you wanted to be a rock star, right? They're the only two things that you were going to drag you out of your normal existence.
And it was shit at football.
I was rubbish at football. I wasn't academically very bright. You know, I like to think I'm not stupid, but I wasn't academic. So, you know, I wasn't going to go on to university and have a career. But, you know, so I remember sort of, you know, thinking, okay, well, I'm going to learn how to play guitar, be a rock star. And my parents would say, why are you wasting your time on that? That will never amount to anything. I want to be a rock and roll star. Anyway, so, you know, and I joined a band with Stuart, and it just really, you know, I just got the bug, and I just, you know, kept buying music, kept listening to music. When I first got my first keyboards, Stuart mentioned it the other day on a Facebook post as we rehearsed in his garage at his parents' house, and I had this crappy old keyboards. I had this terrible organ. I could only play one note, and he had a bass guitar. And then we just set up and we started to write songs. The first song we ever wrote just had 2 chords all the way through it. It was called Partly Night. Stuart wrote the lyrics. It was the first
great song.
It was the first thing we ever did together, and it has 2 chords, and they keep alternating. And then it has this solo thing at the end, this one note little keyboard riff. But it had that song, although it had 2 chords, had emotion, and that's what I mean. I mean, Stuart gave it.
When I heard that song, Tony, that was what made me. I was in this band with you and Jill, and we were playing prog rock type stroke emo music, weren't we? Really?
Yeah.
Goth stuff.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, I quit before we hit
you left. I think you split up with Jill, and then you left the band.
No, she dumped me. Let's get this right for the record.
Oh right, okay.
Broke my heart, and she dumped me. Okay. Well,
incidentally.
Yeah, incidentally, on the record, whoever's watching this, she broke my heart and she dumped me, and that was the end of the story.
Incidentally,
you're quite bitter about this, Tony, aren't you?
I am quite bitter.
Tony, I have to tell you that when I put up my Facebook background picture, you know, the one at the top, the big one of me, you, and Stuart and Ben, that one that you made up on AI. Jill liked it.
You're kidding?
Yeah, no.
Tell me that. Anyway, I just want to say this: she dumped me, and she dumped me for another keyboard player, and that keyboard player's name was, get a load of this, Tony.
Yeah, and he ended up being a Labour politician in Croydon, being the head of.
Oh, look where they are now.
Anyway, Tony and Jill split up, and then
they split
up. All right, Tony got dumped by Jill.
Thank you.
And
Regardless, we know what happened, Tony. So anymore.
Is that all right, Tony? Am I saying it right?
There's a difference between dubs and then just like abandoned
Yeah.
in this case. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, abandoned. I like that, Brian. Even better way. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
abandoned.
Tony and Jill parted ways. and then Tony at some point gave me a tape of this stuff he was doing with Stuart, and Partly Night was the first track they recorded, and that was the point where I thought to myself, I'm in the wrong band. Then when Jill and this other keyboard player decided to get together and form another band called Shark Taboo, I decided that my time in this band, which was now called Detachment Clause, by the way, I decided that I didn't want to do it. They gave me an ultimatum. They were moving to London, and they basically said, "Are you coming with us, or are you not?" And
John, I was in the band. Don't you remember? I was the guitar player for Detachment Clause.
That's right. Yeah, I do remember that. But then you and Jill,
I was given. Let's go back to the dumping. That's why I was dumped, because I wouldn't go to London.
Oh, is that why?
That's why.
Anyway, after Tony dumped Jill, we decided. I left.
We're not going with this accusation thing. Like, it's like she did it. No, you did it. That whole deal. We're not doing that.
I left the band because I didn't want to go to London. And then I just basically took a couple of months off. And then Tony gave me a phone call after a couple of months and said, would you be interested in playing bass for me and Stuart in That Sfumato Effect? These guys don't remember that, but I've got a very good memory.
No.
Tony phoned me up and said, will you join the band? And I said, how much are you going to pay me? And anyway, I ended up joining Stuart and Tony, and we wrote songs together. We rehearsed in my parents' house. We rehearsed in a local village hall next to a pub. We rehearsed at I think I did one rehearsal in your garage, Stuart.
Yeah, we did.
Because I do remember going to your house.
Yeah.
And then we basically said, come on, let's get out there. And we started playing pubs,
Then you left.
with a drum machine.
We did.
Shut up, Tony.
I think you've got to.
I was in Sfumato for at least a year before I left.
Yeah, he was.
And I was poached by Anthony Gaynell, because he came to see us and needed a bass player. So
I would have done the same thing. I mean, quite honestly.
Well, he offered me a record contract, an
offer I could not refuse, so to speak.
Yeah.
At the
An
time.
offer you
Back
could
in
not
those
refuse.
days, back in those days, that's where it was.
Yeah.
I was going to
And
say.
if you remember, guys, even after I left and joined Squire, I still came back and recorded those two songs at Chestnut.
Yeah, you did. And you got to remember that back in those days, I don't know, Brian, what your your subscribers are gonna, what age group they are, but back in 1981-82, when we all got together, the fashion was for synthesized music. It was very much Human League and orchestral maneuvers in the dark. That was very much the kind of where music was. Duran Duran had just formed, and they were kind of a bit synthesized. Tony loved synthesizers, and so he when I first met Tony at sixth form college when we were doing our A levels, he kind of had this idea of let's do this. So we did. So our early days and our early writing was very much based around synthesizer, and I used to strum a bit of bass and try and play back up to Tony with a drum machine. And we realised pretty soon, after we did I think we did a couple of gigs just as a two-piece and a drum machine, and we realised that I realised I couldn't do it. I was a novice singer back then anyway, and then John came in, and it sort of went on from there. But so back then, those early influences in the early 80s were really where we were. Today, our music and our influences are very, very different, because you've got like 30, 40 years of music that's seeped into our souls, that each of us, that has made us what we are. And the addition of Ben as well has just kind of like made us, a different unit completely to what we were then. It was so, it's hard to explain, but back then it was so simple. It was so basic.
Yeah.
It was just Tony's synthesizer and a drum machine, my bass, and then John's bass. And that's all it was. It was.
I agree with that. I think Ben joining us, giving the songs that we're writing now give us a much more harder edge.
Yeah.
Because most of the songs that I wrote or I co-wrote, and some of your songs on Angels are probably more sort of not really guitar-based songs. A lot of them are sort of like keyboard or orchestral-based songs. And now the song direction that we're going in, now Ben's writing songs and contributing. I think we have a much more rockier, harder edge.
Yeah, different.
Yeah, we've gone into kind of prog territory, haven't we? And psychedelia and stuff.
So, Brian, have you got any more questions for us?
I do, actually. They do mostly tend to Ben and John, actually, but it does kind of delve into COVID a little bit here, too. So I guess John and Ben, how bad was COVID for you on a personal level? And I don't know what you were doing music-wise, because I think John was probably still in Squire at the time.
Yeah, I was. We had to actually cancel a tour because of COVID. But we were still doing stuff during COVID, weren't we, guys?
Yeah,
what was it? 21? No, 2021.
Yeah, we were still.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we were still recording remotely.
Yeah, I wrote The Girl from Devon in that era, and
I think that might have been how we. I mean, I think we had a few tracks for the album. I think that might have been COVID that basically put us together to actually finish the thing off. Because what was the release date on that, Tony?
2022.
Was it 2022?
Yeah.
I would assume that during COVID, then, that we were quite active.
Yeah, we
doing
did
the album remotely. Yeah, I was also recording drums and wires stuff with Ray and Ben. I think at that point, I'm not sure when Ins, Outs and Roundabouts came out either, but thought I had a copy here. Have I got a copy here?
I think that was 2023, wasn't it? I think so.
It might have been, yeah. But you know how slowly we work, especially Ray. It's possible that we were doing demos at that point. When did we do the Les Black gig? The tribute gig, Ben? That was
that was 3 years ago, last December, wasn't it? I think so.
Yeah, that must have been 22, 23. Yeah,
23, I think. Yeah.
So yeah, I was probably recording backing tracks with Ray at the time, and then doing stuff remotely with Stuart and Tony for the album, because we did some vocals at Ray's, didn't we, Stuart? I know I recorded some bass there at Ray's, and you did some tracks that weren't actually used in the end, because you did the version.
That was 2018, I think, 17, something like that.
Was it that long ago?
Yeah, it was that long ago. The early demos of I Can See Your Face were done with Ray at his house, and yeah, that was ages ago.
Yeah. So COVID didn't really affect me, Brian, because apart from having to, cancel all the live gigs that I was signed up to do, all I ever did apart from those live gigs was sit at home and just enjoy my home comforts, really, which I'm a big video game fan, unfortunately, which takes a lot more of my time than it should, really. But there you go.
All right.
It's similar for me, really. I play in a couple of other bands, and just all live music was just shut down, really. So a couple of bands I'm in, we were touring regularly, and we just had absolutely nothing during COVID. So yeah, it was a real nightmare. And a lot of the venues now that they haven't even come back to playing live music and actually booking anyone now. So it's getting harder and harder to actually find the venues to play in these days. And some of the ones that do, they've gone from having bands on maybe once a week to once a month now. So it's just becoming harder all the time to try and play live.
Yeah, it totally hit the entertainment scene upside the head, didn't it? You know, I don't think any of the entertainment industry has come back after COVID as strong as it was before. You know, it was. I've got a mate who lives in the same road as me, who's a playwright, and he was doing, shows, doing, venues, doing plays. And he said he had to become a taxi driver after that because there was just no one booking entertainment, and same, in London, all the so many venues closed.
From my perspective,
pubs as well.
and I was going to say, from my perspective, I had a slightly different view on this, on COVID, in the sense that I viewed it as very positive for me. Okay, the whole thing about COVID was ridiculous, and people died, and I know all of that, and accept all of that, but what it did for me was it made me pick up my guitar again, and I hadn't done that for a long time. And I spent quite a few days here and there in my house just learning to play and sing again. I have a covers band in the sidelines down here in Dorset, which I still do. But what it did was it made me pick up the guitar again. It made me write, and I wrote 2 songs in that time in 2020 that I still love to this day, and one of them's on Where Are the Angels album. So for me, it was massively positive, because I think if COVID hadn't happened for me, I'm not sure I would have picked up my guitar again, because I'm congenitally lazy, and I just need to pick up my guitar more. And where is she? Ruby is downstairs, my red guitar, which I always play, and she's downstairs at the moment. So yeah, it was brilliant time for me. Not great for everyone, I know, but I learnt, and I wrote a lot in that time. So yeah, that's my take on it.
Tony, COVID affected you quite badly, didn't it? Because you used to travel a lot more, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, personally, because I have medical, and right in the middle of my medical crisis was right in the middle of COVID. So I spent 8 weeks in a hospital right when COVID hit, and this was before vaccinations. So really, I was just on my own. Anyway, that's another story. Nothing to do with music, but that was my memory, because we were in complete isolation. I mean, no visitors were allowed in the hospital. So I went there with my suitcase, and 8 weeks later I came out again. But the whole time on my own. I
remember quite a few of those times when Tony was ill, when he was in hospital, and we were all messaging each other.
Yeah.
And I can remember thinking, God, is he okay? Is he going to come out of this? It was that bad. I thought, Jesus, I might lose. I might lose him here. I don't mean it that way, but it wasn't easy, was it, Tony?
No, it wasn't. It was. Time. You were literally again, we're going outside of music a little bit, but I mean, yeah, I couldn't have any visitors, and I was completely on my own. Although, I was texting you from my bed and stuff like this. We all kept in touch. I mean, it was a question of communication, but yeah, it was a hard time. So and getting back into the music again was really, really good, because I mean, once I came out of hospital, I touched base again, and then we really got on with doing the Angels album. So I mean, positive from that point of view.
Yeah,
that's good to hear. But it's good to see y'all. As I was saying, it's good to see y'all doing well right there. So, and hopefully, the music's staying.
Well.
hopefully the music scene is doing well, because it sounded from what Ben was saying how the entertainment industry is kind of taking a little bit of a hit there too. But are you all in? I know Tony, you're in Germany, but I guess John, Ben, and Stewie, I guess which parts of UK are you guys all hailing from?
Stuart, I'm in Surrey. Surrey, very close to
south of London.
Just south of London. Quite
So I'm
near
Hampshire, but not actually that far from John, really. I'm only about half an hour away. So
I think you're
down in
about
Hampshire.
15 miles away, aren't you, from me, Ben?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah,
I'll think about moving so I can go further away, I think.
Yeah, thanks.
Germany's
down
a
on
great
the south
country,
coast,
Ben. Germany's a really nice
near the
place. I mean, I'm a long way away from John, so if you want to go really far, and you don't want to go to the next county.
I'm about I don't know whether you know a place called Bournemouth. You might know Southampton. You probably most people in the States and Canada know Southampton. So I'm about 20 minutes from Southampton. I live about 6-8 miles from the sea, from the coast in Dorset. And the Dorset coast is epic. It's fantastic. It's like it's called the Jurassic coast, and it's superb. And I've been here for 8-9 years since I met my wife, and I love it. So yeah.
I think I saw something on YouTube a little while back saying that you cannot be anywhere in England or you can't be anywhere in the United Kingdom that is more than about 75 miles from the coast, which is crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Crazy.
I'd say about
If you
100
think about
miles.
the size of America, I guess in some of the American states, people have never seen the sea. It's
No, probably not.
it's amazing how huge the United States are compared to Great Britain. I don't know
Where
how
are
many.
you, Brian? Where are you?
I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So I've at least seen the beach. We've always stuck along the East Coast.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah,
I mean, I was fortunate enough for many years to live in the States in Washington DC, and I remember, of course, every relative that I knew said, "Hey, we want to go to Disneyland." So suddenly, all these relatives I hadn't seen for decades wanted to come over and sleep on my couch. And then, what do you want to do this weekend? Let's go to Disneyland. So we got in the car, and I drive from DC down towards Florida, and like you're 9 hours in the car. It's a long journey. So you get there. But the thing was, when you look at the map and you think, oh man, I must have gone for miles. You look on the map and you've traveled that far, and then like California, if you did the same distance, is that far away. It's a massive country, isn't it? Well, you live there, Brian, but that's one thing I always wanted to do, was drive from coast to coast. And I don't know, that takes about 5 days. I don't know. It takes quite a bit.
crazy.
Depends how fast you're going, but my dad actually did something sort of like that. I don't know if it was fully coast to coast, but he did like sort of like a big circle in around the States. And I think he even drive through the panhandle of what they call Texas right there, that little bit that kind of juts up. Yeah. That just alone is probably like 3 or 4 hours just to pass through that before you hit Oklahoma. So you're in for a long drive if you're looking to do coast to coast. So,
and that's just the United States. It just boggles my mind how big this world is. So there's parts of the rainforest that people have never even explored. It's a big world we live in.
That's for sure. So, but get the music scene going strong here, boys. So we'll see what happens. But I guess, but first up, before we discuss what your future goals are for 2026, I guess, so what gear have you guys been using for That Sfumato Effect for this new and upcoming material?
Oh, what equipment am I using? No, you don't.
Or gear, I should say. What gear are you using for That Sfumato Effect?
I'm not going to bore, because I'm just gear obsessed. I almost bought a synthesizer today, another one. I don't need one, but I was on eBay and someone had this vintage synth going for like 200 quid. And so basically, it sounded a bit dodgy. He wanted me to meet him in a car park and whatever. So I almost acquired more gear today, and Mainly what I'm using now is that I've been a Studio One DAW user for quite a while. But they've recently been acquired by Fender. Well, actually, that's not true. PreSonus were acquired by Fender about 5 years ago. So they've rebranded Studio One, which was owned by PreSonus and in effect owned by Fender, but now it's been rebranded as Fender Studio Pro. So it's basically the same developers who are in Hamburg. So I've used that. I used that DAW for a long time. The entire album for That Sfumato Effect, the Angels album, was produced and mixed and on using Studio One. But now I started out learning Logic Pro, and I think I'm moving back to Logic Pro because my other project, the workflows that I have doing electronic-based music, just sits better using Logic Pro than it actually does Studio One. So I kind of will stick to using both. So I'm now going to use Logic Pro X. There's a new version 12 out. I'm just amazed at how much gear I've got. Thankfully, my finance minister lets me buy all this stuff without too much trouble. So one thing I did make is that actually I literally produced the entire Angels album with virtual instruments. And those listening, when you say producing in the box, know what I mean in the box. That means there's no outboard gear. You know, you're not using any external instruments or whatever. And I've kind of went through this phase. I'm acquiring gear because I like working with real instruments. I mean, when you're working with virtual instruments, you're just, you're using this, and you're just using a mouse and you're changing things on the computer. I just want to grab something, get hold of something that has knobs, like a real instrument on it, something you can play with keys. So like Ben, the guitarist, or John, I mean, they actually physically touch their instruments and they're actually playing things. So I kind of lost that relationship, that person, because I actually learned music trying to learn how to play guitar very badly. But it was a physical instrument, and I used to write on it. In fact, some songs for Angels were written on guitar, and I transposed them onto piano and keyboard. But now I actually want, physical instruments. So in terms of gear acquisition, I'm just buying more synthesizers. I bought last year at least, I'm just looking around, secondhand two secondhand synthesizers and 4 new synthesizers. So that's what I'm going to be using.
That's a bit overkill, isn't it, really?
It's a bit overkill, but one of them is classic. I mean, for example, I got a Yamaha DX7, which I picked up. That is the keyboard of the 80s. Almost every hit, has that sort of Whitney Houston Yamaha DX7 piano sound, and it's on every hit record. I mean, the bass line from Aha, Take On Me, was done with the Yamaha DX7. So I always wanted one, and not digressing too much, is that I bought a DX9 because I was so poor I couldn't afford to buy a DX7. And I remember I got this DX9. It didn't have all the facilities or memory capabilities of a DX7. And I remember I bought it to Stuart, and we were still in the band. So I got this new synthesizer. I took it out the box and I played it, and he says, "Well, that sounds crap." He wasn't impressed at all, because it's a digital FM synthesizer, so it's not a big fat analog synthesizer. So the expectation with synthesizers, you get this huge massive big wall of sounds, and of course later I found out is that, of course, the FM synthesis is not about that. It's more about recreating original tones, real instruments. That was the whole idea about FM synthesis and the guy who invented it. So, but I always wanted one of these, and I couldn't afford one back in the day when I was 18, 19. But now I'm poor. Well, now I'm a bit older and got a bit more money. I just had to have one. It's like, you put another tick in the box. That's it. I've got a DXN. I've owned one. I've got a Korg M1 workstation, which was the synthesizer of the 90s. If you hear all those piano sounds from dance house music, din, 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 din. It's all done with the, I think it's patch number 11 on the Korg M1. So again, I just wanted that because, it's a musical instrument of its time. So, and then all the other new synthesizers that I bought are just been recreation of old analog synthesizers. So that's the gear that I'm using. So actually, in the production for the upcoming album, I'm going to be using a lot more real instruments than I will be actually using sort of like the traditional virtual software instruments. And I bet you wished you never asked that question.
He suffers from gear acquisition syndrome, or GAS.
I do have GAS, yeah. Gear acquisition syndrome, yeah, definitely.
Carry on without me for a second, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, that's to be his bike. So, all right, I guess Ben and John, I guess what do you guys use in terms of the gear for this upcoming album?
Yeah, well, I'm not a very big gearhead really, so my very simple setup for me. I've just got Ibanez guitars and Marshall and Fender amps, and that's it. Really straightforward setup for me. I just have a sound. Whenever I change gear, my sound doesn't change. I reckon it's all in the fingers really. So it doesn't really matter what you use. So yeah, that's it. That will Ibanez, Fender, and Marshall will be on the album.
I'm the same really. I see instruments as a tool. I'm not a gearhead. I've had maybe over my career, I've had maybe about 6 different bass guitars. You know, I started off with a cheap Fender Music Master bass, which was a short scale bass, because I thought, well, I'll buy the short scale because, you know, they're easier to play. You know, then I upgraded to a Shergold, which is what I played in the original Sfumato, if you remember, Tony.
Yeah.
But even then, I covered it in stickers, didn't I?
You did.
I didn't. I've never been very precious about musical instruments. I've always used them as a tool. I went on to use Aria Pro basses while I was playing in a rock band, and while I was playing in Drums and Wires, which we did live gigs back in the 90s. Aria Pro basses. Then I took a break for about 20 years and didn't even have a bass. But when we started Sfumato again, I managed to acquire, with the help of Stuart and Tony, I managed to acquire my my dream bass, which was a Fender Precision, because I just love that Fender Precision sound, which is what I used on the first album, and what I'm using on the second album. I do have a spare bass, an Ibanez. I'm left-handed, by the way, so it's always a problem because I have to pay about 10% surcharge to get left-handed copies of any bass. I'd love to have a Rickenbacker, but I've never had the money for that. I've got an Ibanez cheap active bass, which I use for practicing. I've also got a Gear for Music bass, which is surprisingly good, actually. They're the very budget ones, you know. I think it cost me 150 quid, but it's got a lovely tone to it, and when you put it through the audio interface into your recording program, it just sounds fat and meaty, you know. Just like a Fender does, really. The Fender is a great live bass, and although I'm not doing live anymore, you know, it's still a great bass, and I use it a lot. As far as amps concerned, I got away with an 80-watt Red Sub, which was another budget thing. I mean, when I was playing with Squire on stage live, it's an 80-watt, and it looks like a stage monitor. It's wedge shaped, so and I just had that behind me on stage, and the sound engineer would DI it through the PA. So it was just like to me, it was just like a monitor, so I could hear what I was playing, and that's it, you know. And I've never ever really had a proper amp.
All right.
Come on, guys, talk.
How about someone else was going to step in there too? But actually, I thought he was still going. But okay, I guess Stuart. I guess what gear have you been using?
Yeah, well, I can point you at my. Hold on. Actually, I won't get it out. No, I use. I have a very ancient 6-string acoustic, which I've had since 1998 actually, which I generally write most of my songs on. It's a Gibson Hummingbird copy called a Dove, and they don't make them anymore in red. It's beautiful, and it's got a lovely sound. Live with my other band, with my covers band, I play 12-string. I have a D'Angelica 12-string, which is fantastic, which is beside me here, which I play on 1 or 2 songs. And I also have an electric. I have a Fender Telecaster slimline electric, which is 2009, I think that was built, and Mexican, and it's fantastic. I play that on 1 or 2 songs. The acoustic, the 12-string, has been a revelation to me, because it's the only 12-string I've ever owned that I can actually play and sing at the same time, because 12 strings are hard work, as anybody knows. And
they sound great though.
Yeah, but I mean, they are just hard work, but mine is just, I got it set up professionally. I got light gauge strings put on it, and I play it through I've got a couple of pedals on it. I've got a chorus pedal and a preamp, acoustic preamp pedal, and I play it through a Boss Katana amp, which has a great acoustic setting on it, and sounds fantastic. It really does, and it works really well. So I use for singing. I've always used an SM58 Shure SM58 mic, and that's about it really for me. It's fairly straightforward. Oh, a cowbell and a tambourine. That's me.
More cowbell. More cowbell.
More cowbell.
I play a lot of cowbell.
Cowbell
songs. We do some covers of things like Play That Funky Music, White Boy by Wild Cherry, or we got a few songs that we play that there's a lot of cowbell going on, which is great fun. Yeah.
My great, I don't know whether you perhaps might know this, but I managed to sneak in cowbell onto Born to Be Free. I don't know whether you actually hear it.
Yeah.
I did manage to sneak in the cowbell. It's the line where it says, "I want to know." What's the line, Stuart? I want to
know if our lives are under a spell.
You never can tell. And that bit, but that bit has actually got cowbell in the background, because I thought I got to sneak. The album has to have cowbell somewhere. There's got to be cowbell on it, right? Brilliant. And that was just perfect, that line. And
it wasn't loud enough in the mix, because I never know.
Well, I mean, blame the mix engine.
So there should have been more cowbell.
There should have been more cowbell.
We need actor Christopher Walken to be present whenever we were doing that. Yeah,
so great. That sketch is so funny, so great.
And the funny part is actually Blue Oyster Cult's "Don't Fear the Reaper." So now you can't go without hearing a cowbell whenever that song comes on. That's probably the thing you keep hearing in the background. It's probably not even there.
Do you know that they are the loudest band I ever saw, and it was when I was about 16 or 17. I went to the Southampton Gaumont. I don't know if it's still there, Stuart, but it used to be a gig venue. It was a cinema.
Yeah, it is.
It's still there. Good. Well, I saw Blue Oyster Cult, and they played "Don't Fear the Reaper." They destroyed their own song. They are without doubt the loudest band I've ever heard. I had to leave. I mean, my ears were literally hurting.
I've heard that when they play that song live, that most of the audience shout out "More cowbell."
Actually, the song that in my covers band that we do, which freaks me out most of all, is, funnily enough, is the Stones, Honky Tonk Women, which, to what Charlie Watts was like, what a relaxed drummer he was and how he worked. Well, the cowbell in that song is all over the shop. It just sort of it's not even in time. It's so weird. And we do this. We do a version of it. We just play it live, in our sets. And I've said to the guys, I can't play this out of time like they did, like the Stones did on their original recording. So I just kind of do this. stuff, and the drummer comes in, you know. But it's just that's the song that gets me for cowbell because it's just too weird. But anyway,
Do you do the Mick Jagger dance as well, Stuart?
No. We got a couple.
You don't
of
got the moves like Jagger. You don't got the moves.
No, not at all. Too old for that.
You ain't got the lips.
Just, I mean, I think with covers stuff, you know, you've always got to imitate what the original artist did to the best of your ability, and I'm quite adept at that. I can usually quite imitate someone else's voice quite well, but Mick Jagger, you can't imitate Mick Jagger, so you just have to sing the song. But yeah, it's all good fun.
You do have to ham it up. I played before I got back together with the guys with That Sfumato Effect. I played in this for years in this cover band in Berlin, and we used to try and ham it up. And some songs we really, I mean, we used to play Black Sabbath and Paranoid, you know, and you just couldn't help it. I mean, you just sort of like the Tony Iommi, you know, sort of heads down and banging away like this, doing all that, you know, and you would just get lost in some of the songs. That was one song that we really used to ham up and really used to enjoy playing. Yeah.
Good times. So, all right. And I guess just real quick, I guess whoever wants to fill in the audience about this, I guess, what's your plans for this year, 2026 and beyond? I guess you're just going to release new material. You might try to get together and do a show.
I would love to. Honestly, we would love to do that, but it just isn't. I don't see that we can gig. We can't do it with just our situation and where Tony is. Plus, I mean, we could easily add a drummer to our lineup and maybe do a few shows, but I don't know that it's going to work. Tony's had some health issues. I have too. It doesn't stop me so much, but Tony's more vulnerable than me in terms of his exposure to colds and COVID and the rest of it.
I've never had any problem with the guys, you know, I mean, sort of like, you know, writing, contributing and producing, whether, you know, not being part of any live constellation of That Sfumato Effect and not being there. That's never bothered me at all, actually. Of course, I'd love to be, but it's difficult. I'm in Germany for a start, so that doesn't make.
No, I would absolutely love to do it, and I know we could do it, but I think we have to focus on the fact that we are a recording band, and I don't see us being able to get out there and tour, and much as I would like to go and shake my booty in front of anyone, and actually I still can't do it.
I'm just waiting for the call, Brian. You know, I'm a live gig person. You know, if Stuart and Ben wanted to go out and do some gigs, I'd be all up for it. But
yeah, me too.
Unfortunately, Tony is a major part of the band, and
well, you couldn't possibly gig without Tony.
Shut up, Tony. Shut up.
You can easily find a keyboard player better than me.
No.
I'm not a keyboard player. I just hit notes and make noises. But theoretically, I mean, you could get a live drummer and then a keyboard player, and you guys could. Well, you could do two different versions of the song. Stuart, there are two songs in your cover band set that you do. You do two songs from That Sfumato Effect, don't you?
We do. We do The Girl from Devon and Fire That Keeps on Burning, which, you know, is just a bit of a laugh, really, but it works. But I couldn't possibly go out and gig That Sfumato Effect without Tony. It wouldn't, for me, it just wouldn't be right.
Never say never.
He's the man.
Never say never.
Never say never.
No. Maybe we should, if we get a tour in Germany, we could do it.
Why don't we do that? Let's get a tour in Germany, Tony. You can organise it. We'll come over. We should
a little bit more work on his plate.
All right, we'll work on this. And can I support you guys? My solo act.
Nah.
They could be the opener. That's That Effect's the headliner in that case.
We could do a couple of Kind Machine songs as well. You know, we could do it. Kind Machine is a support.
Well, Tony hasn't got a band, so he couldn't really do the Kind Machine, could he?
No.
So, but mind you, some of those bass lines I could work up, Tony.
Yeah.
on your solo stuff.
Well,
Tony
that's
could
what
just sing to all the backing tracks, couldn't he? He could just
yeah,
get up and dance.
Yeah, exactly.
I definitely would have to get another singer because my singing's atrocious. So I'd have to get somebody who can actually really sing.
You can sing. Your singing's great on those.
No, it takes a lot of work, and without Melodyne.
You can use auto-tune live as well, don't forget, Tony.
Sorry?
You can use auto-tune live. No problem with that.
Yeah.
The thing is, I don't use auto-tune. This is the thing. I sing very badly, and then I use Melodyne to pitch correct. So I will not. I do have an auto-tune plugin. If I did use it, I wouldn't use it like the classic, Cher effect where it sort of goes all over the place. But I think a lot of singers actually probably wouldn't admit to it, but they do actually use a little bit of auto-tune for pitch correction when they're singing, unless you're a world-class singer, like, I don't know, like Mariah Carey or somebody, or somebody,
Or me.
or
Stuart. Yeah, Stuart.
or Stuart Glanville.
Stuart doesn't.
I'm sure that more people actually use it than they admit. No, I mean, when I do my vote, it takes thousands of takes, and I do like a composite take, so it's like 30 takes, and I cut and paste the best bits, and then I will actually then use Melodyne and meticulously go through and then just pitch correct every note. Depends what key I try and sing in. Stuart will say this. I mean, if it's outside your key, you're going to be quite a few cents off. So cents is in the way that you measure, obviously, whether you're on pitch or not, and you're just going to be way out. But then, but if I'm in a key, I think key of C is my most comfortable one. Then I can do a rough recording, and then I just run it through Melodyne, go through note, and then I always double track because I've got such a weak voice. So I will always double track and then do another one, and that creates the little imperfections, because you can never sing something the same twice exactly the same way. So you have like this auto chorusing and doubling effect. So I will sometimes do that as well. But I mean, Stuart knows all this stuff. He's almost a professional singer.
Yeah, it is. It's really.
I just do it because I just wanted for once. I have That Sfumato Effect to thank, because I was inspired by other people, and I just thought, well, these guys write great songs, and they really do. I mean, Ben writes songs. John and Stuart wrote almost all of the songs for the Angels album. I thought, I got to try this. There must be something to it. So my problem in the past was I'm really a music guy. I'm always drawn towards the music, and the lyrics and the message haven't really been my thing. But I thought, no, I'm gonna try this, and I released 3 songs, and I've written another song which is called Ghost Unseen, which I'm recording at the moment. And the first 3 songs that I did actually were sort of like, happy-go-lucky, blah, 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 perfect day, falling in love, hearts in bloom. This one's actually quite reflective. It's actually it's my first autobiographical song. So it's going to be a little bit more somber. But no, I'll be doing that. But primarily what I'm doing now, because a lot of the time problems that I'm having is balancing doing the 2 projects at the same time, and I've literally had to say, right, it's Monday, it's between 9 and 12, I'm doing That Sfumato Effect. And then in the afternoon or evening, I'm going to do my own thing. And that was a little bit problematic at first. I'll be honest, and I haven't told the guys this, I didn't know whether I could pull it off. I really didn't know whether I could actually, channel both energies into actually doing 2 projects, but I've managed to find a way to do it. And the way that I managed to do this was, although I'd love to, is that I've decided that for That Sfumato Effect, I'm not putting any songwriting input. I mean, Ben, Stuart, and John are talented songwriters. They don't need me. So basically, that kind of gets me off the hook. And that enables me now to concentrate on the That Sfumato Effect project, just concentrate on the production and concentrate on obviously the recording. So, I mean, yes, of course, artistic input, but recently we with the song Spinning Wheel, I had this idea for this brass in the background. So it's not as if I'm going to completely stand back and say, no, I don't want any creative input. But the whole songwriting, the whole investment to that,
coming up with the ideas. Yeah.
So, and the ideas. So, I mean, that's the way that I think I can go forward. And that's what I'll be doing in 2026. So
I think that really works, actually.
Yeah, I'll be doing more of my own solo project, because again, it doesn't fit into That Sfumato Effect because it's all synth based. I mean, it's all based on OMD, Depeche Mode, and that kind of thing. It's sort of nod to my love of synth music. Like Stuart said, when we first got together, I was a heavy synthesizer guy. So, this goes back to my Gary Newman roots and that kind of music. So I'm reliving my youth, if you like, with this new project. So I put that to one side. And then obviously in 2026, I'll be producing for these guys, these talented songwriters. You know, these guys. Stuart's got great songs. Ben's now on board with his great songwriting. John's always been a good songwriter. I'm looking forward to producing some of his other songs coming up. One's called Maggot, which I think is a brilliant song. And another great song that I'm really dying to produce is called Love in a Bunker. They are, if they ever see the light of day, I'm so looking forward to producing those songs.
I think for us as a band now, for 2026, the focus is almost certainly on let's get this second album in the can. Let's do this, get it out there sometime in the summer, maybe late spring, summer. We're not far off, but there's work to be done. And as an album, it's very, it contains different music to what we had on the first album. I'm really looking forward to just getting some of these, getting these songs together and just putting something out there again. I'm really looking forward to getting Snow is Dancing recorded, which is for me one of the best songs I've ever written, and it's a political statement. Brian, in the UK, we've had so many prime ministers and governments and ridiculous situations over here, and Snow is Dancing is all about that. It's all about how politics is so ridiculous, and yet people just continue day to day with our lives, and we just it doesn't matter because nature is always there. So for me, the strength of songs are all about lyrics to me, and so I'm really looking forward to getting that song out there, and hoping I can add something to Ben and John's songs. So for me, 2026 is all about that and nothing else really. So
yep, same here.
Right.
Really.
All right, sounds
Moving
good.
forward with TSE.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Guys, we are almost out of time, but I guess before we close out, would you guys like to ask me any questions real quick? We'll do one apiece.
Yeah, Brian, what's your favorite track on the Angels album?
That's what I was going to ask.
Oh, jeez.
It's
That's a
okay.
tough part to do.
I'll have to say, what's your least favorite then?
Oh, yeah.
I said the one that whatever Tony was doing, so that's what we'll probably say. So. Actually, you know what? I felt pretty bad actually because I didn't get a chance to actually listen to it. And actually, at my second job that I think I talked about you guys at the restaurant, my manager had to go in and have surgery done. So I've actually been doing like 4 days a week now instead of the usual 2 or 3. So I just have not that much time. So
Yeah, okay,
I do
Brian.
apologize.
Another question. I mean, what do you think about AI and music in 10 seconds?
It can have its uses, but don't let it be the whole defining factor. Don't let it fully take over, we should say. At least try to... Actually, believe it or not, I'm actually going to interview someone next week that use, I think, 80 to 90% of AI for their music. So I think that would be interesting. So when I brought up that question, actually, that was a question I brought up with Tony and Stuart in the past. People would say it can have its uses, but don't let it take away the human element. So we'll do it like that. So
Right. My question is, apart from Sfumato, who's your favourite band?
ooh, that's tough because actually I'm more to the metal sort of music there too. So I like something that gets the adrenaline going. It's good in my youth, to say the least. So
You've got to pick one.
well, pick a one. I mean, do I have a gun up against my head? I mean, that's pretty much what the situation kind of delves into, I guess. I've really liked Between the Buried in Me, which is a progressive metal group. Very technical, and I actually saw them live once last year. So they're very proficient. They actually really jump around between like having that metal, death metal sort of tone at first, and then they'll like jump into melodic, clean vocals afterwards. So they really know how to do it. So I love that sort of music.
Mm-hmm.
I did see them live actually a couple of years ago. A friend of mine is a huge fan of Between the Buried and Me. And they absolutely blew me away live. Really, really intense, but there's quite a prog element to them as well, which I was quite surprised with. They had a massive album about 2 or 3 years ago. I can't remember the name of it now. That's what they were touring. But yeah, they're brilliant. Absolutely love them now.
I want to say Colors 2, maybe. I don't know. Because I think they might have came out with a single.
Yes. I would think that was it, yeah.
So, yeah. All right.
I'm a bit worried now because Ben seems to know an awful lot about heavy metal. So I'm just wondering what kind of songs are going to be.
Ben knows everything about everything musically. This is why he's such a great guitarist, because I
just grew up listening to my dad's
everything goes in.
When I was 15. And he's got a bit of everything. I mean, rock-wise, he's like, Cream, Zeppelin, The Who, Purple, all the classics. But then he's got a lot of prog in there, King Crimson, Jethro Tull, and some jazz as well. So, yeah, I grew up with a bit of everything.
Well, you were lucky. I just had Neil Sedaka and Jim Reeves.
I was limited. That's the thing. So that's what Tony said. But my dad had a whole collection, but I was kind of limited to just like 6 artists, which is like Three Doors Down, Vertical Horizon, Bruce Springsteen, Van Halen, Bush. That's actually a British punk group, actually post-punk, I think they would probably say. I don't know, but
Bush, yeah.
I'm gonna ask you, Brian. I don't know how old you are, but I've been toying with an idea recently about. I've noticed that as you get older, you get more emotional about things that happen. You see in the press, you see in the news, and stuff that you just hear about. You have a more emotional reaction to it than I did when I was 30. So I'm going to ask you, I'm going to put you on the spot. What is a song? Because I'm all about lyrics, and that's what I write and what I do. Is there a song that you could say that makes you emotional, or really gives you an emotional reaction, a lyric that gives you an emotional reaction in a particular song, or is there a type of music? Because I bizarrely I actually love American country music. I really do. I love Sheryl Crow, for example. So, and some of the stuff that they that I hear just makes me emotional. So, is there something that does that for you?
it can. I would say it's not a particular just one song, but sometimes it's not so much like the whole anger deal or like something I want to punch like on my fist through a wall or something. But for some reason, it almost like it brings a tear to your eye. That sort of thing there too. So I tend to like it for some metal groups when I do like a big breakdown at the end. You know how drums, guitars, and all that stuff kind of just going crazy. Close out either a song or an album. There's just something about it that kind of brings a tear to my eye, and then
it's just different.
And it's like one of those things. Like I just want to listen to it again. That whole deal. So
I urge you strongly to listen to "Moments of Pleasure" by Kate Bush. Just if you've never heard it before, go and listen to it. It's utterly beautiful. I'm just going to say that. I know you're probably not a fan of Kate Bush, but anyway,
she's a female Bush, we should say, because
she is
the Bush. Well, there's the Bush I mentioned earlier, which is pretty much all men. So, but in this case, she is a woman.
Kate Bush is the best female songwriter that's ever lived, and "Moments of Pleasure" is a fantastic song.
All right, I'll check it out. So, did we cover everybody in terms of questions?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, I think just me to go, actually. All I was going to ask, Brian, is what are your musical plans for 2026?
Good question.
Well, actually, I think I mentioned before we started about my 3 projects that I'm a part of. So, as of now, my one project, Demiurge, is kind of on hold because my one guitar player, I want to say, is involved in politics, but I think it's sort of like a city council or something like that. So I think he helps out there too, but it seems to be taking up a good bit of his time. So it's on hold, but I'm hoping to release material. We've been kind of doing it in October, kind of as a little joke and running gag for Halloween. So it's like another reason to celebrate the holiday of Halloween, to say the least. Right now, Shadows in the Dark, we have been releasing songs. We've been kind of going like one single at a time before we like release it on a full album. I'm not sure yet because I think my one partner in that group, Tim, he's kind of on hold at the moment because I think he's having some technical difficulties with his gear. So I'll have to figure it out right there too. And slow pace with my last project, Nocturno Monarch. So I've released recently, we actually finished a song. It actually sounds pretty good. We actually put in a couple of movie bits. And I think, Tony, you were a big fan of Pulp Fiction. So we actually...
Yeah.
Great movie.
So we actually include a little snippet of that. So whenever it comes out, I'll send it to you so you can listen to it. But
yeah, I love to hear it.
Other than that, I'm just kind of doing my drum covers and trying to at least keep up with my 3 YouTube channels at the moment because I got my podcast one now, my drum covers, and my other one's just random bits of like concert footage I went to. So I got a bunch of concerts I went to last year, and I got a good bit this year too. So I'm actually really stoked to see what other bands plan to come through Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania as well. So hope that answers the question.
Great.
All right.
Oh, guys, I've got tickets to see Thomas Dolby in May down in Bournemouth. Well, that's really going to annoy you, isn't it?
It has
But I
annoyed.
have.
Annoys me tremendously because I mean he was a we used to listen to his album for ages and a funny thing is you should mention that you said you should go out and get that album something about an alien eating my buck, which I never
Aliens
heard.
ate my Buick.
Yeah, my Buick. I can't remember what it was called. You see, and I remember I was
Aliens
actually
ate my Buick. It's epic.
I'm recollecting CDs and vinyl now. I've given up on streaming. I just don't want anything to do with it anymore. Funny because we release all our music on streaming. But I found that for like €1, that album. And I thought, yeah, Stuart mentioned that. I got to buy it. And the first track is just damn weird. I can't remember what it's called.
It's
but
called
it's so
Piece of Her Ferrari.
it's so unlike
orgasm. It's
so
amazing.
unlike Thomas Dolby. But the rest of the album is fantastic. So yeah.
It's fantastic.
I recently, because there's a very good podcast by Martin Ware, and I can't remember actually the name of the podcast now. Some of it's quite old, but he just really just grabbed anybody who was like a synth god. And I recently watched the other night the interview he did with Thomas Dolby, and that was a really, really good interview. And then one with Howard Jones, actually, because Thomas Dolby's now a university professor, isn't he, somewhere teaching music? That's actually what he does.
He's been touring the States for ages, Tom Dolby, and he's coming to the UK. And I just, as soon as I saw it on social media, I just went, oh, right, I'm having 2 of those. And he's coming to Bournemouth. He's coming to me. So
brilliant.
Right, yeah. So we got 2 tickets for 40 quid each. Brilliant.
Because the golden age of wireless. Part of my musical education was driving around with Stuart from pub to pub, putting cassettes and just like singing along.
And
I remember albums that stick in mind was Japan by Tin Drum, which we used to play over and over and over and over again, which is a great album and I love it. Yeah. And that was Thomas Dolby and the Golden Age of Wireless was another one. We just songs like Wind Power and One of Our Submarines was another great song that we used to really, really love. We used to listen to that. And funny enough is that the funny thing is that I used to really love listening to music because I mean, we used to sing along. But then Stuart used to put his Bowie albums on, and I used to fall asleep because I mean, he was a bit of a Bowie nut back then, and I really wasn't into it at all. The funny thing is now I love David Bowie. And I was on Saturday. I was at one of these flea markets, and I found at least 4 David Bowie albums, all for a couple of euros each. So I picked up Heroes and Low and Station to Station and Lodger, all for under like 10 quid. And I'm listening to them and I'm thinking, man, they're really, really good albums. I always like
Low. It's fantastic.
I always like Low, but I wasn't actually into the other stuff. But of course, I lived in Berlin for many, many, many years. Bowie was trying to escape addiction and just rocked up in Berlin. And those 3 albums, starting with Low, I think Heroes and another one, they were called the Berlin Trilogy. So he just like camped out and detoxed and lived in Berlin. But I love all these old 80s guys, and that kind of inspired my project, The Time Machine. It's like my time machine back to the 1980s. So but Thomas Dolby, I probably would come and I'd be there with you if I was in Bournemouth.
I'll send you some photos. Honestly, I will. I'll send you some photos. I think it's going to be great. I didn't see him back in 1984 when I should have done, and I missed him when he came to Guildford, I think it was. And so I've got him 40 years later. So
and he's a massive influence on
Big time.
When I'm writing synthesizer parts and whatever, I'm always thinking about that album, The Golden Age of Wireless. You know, some of these luscious strings and these sort of like really impactful arrangements. And that goes back to my prog roots with Genesis as well, early Genesis, because I'm a big Genesis post Phil Collins fan with Peter Gabriel. So, like kind of where my keyboard and synth influences come from.
And you know, Tom Dolby played keyboards for Bowie at Live Aid. On Bowie's band, Live Aid. Tom Dolby was the keyboard player in that band. Amazing. So this guy's got real heritage, and he's a very intelligent songwriter. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, his second album, his second and third, like the one you mentioned there, he did another album.
The Flat Earth was the second.
Flat Earth is a superb album as well.
Brilliant album.
It's a really, really good album. Anyway, we
sorry, digress.
I should make sure I take some video of it too. I hope you got an iPhone these days to take videos. So, keep us posted on it. He's got the iPhone though.
Yeah,
I wish I had the money for an iPhone.
Well, get some money then. Jeez. Okay.
As if it's that easy. Yeah.
Now rob a bank, John.
Yeah.
I go back and rob a train. You got to do the wild, wild west of the UK in this case. So, all right. But if there's nothing else, here's our last question goes. Tony and Stuart, I think you guys know about this one here too, but here's how it goes. So given the amount of negativity that you guys have seen in the world these days, obviously I think you've seen it firsthand with even how your politics have been recently. But these days, I think people need some sort of hope. So what would be your message of hope for musicians and people out there so that they can move forward with their lives?
Never give up.
Do you want to go, Tony? Or shall I? I would say very simply that the one thing that never changes in this world is our surroundings and our nature and the air that we breathe and the sun and everything else. Okay, climate change is huge, but I would say as long as you, in your life, in your living your life, you have to recognize as you get older that things change. But as long as you recognize the beauty of and the power of nature, and I guess also the importance of contact between human beings and kindness and love between human beings, you can't go far wrong. If you forget those things, you're done. So that's a bit heavy, wasn't it? Bloody hell.
No, I was going to say I can't really add much more to what Stuart just said there. Really, I think
it's very profound.
It's kind of all about communication, I think.
Yeah. Also, I'd say blowjob.
That's one of the things. For me, that's one of the best things that music does. Communicate with people, being part of a community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And love your family.
Yeah. Well, of course, I did write that. It's not a Sfumato song, but my second song, "Believe," from the Kind Machine, was all about believing and just having the. It was a song on two levels. It was a personal, not personal, but it was just a story about obviously relationships and breaking up, and it was also about obviously our ability to actually believe in a better future, and that's the advice I would give. Just don't stop believing. Just believe there's a better future. And that's how I wrote the lyric, and that's how I wrote the song, is that I want to believe. And I want to believe in you was the last line of the song. And the idea is, I want to believe in you, in humanity and in faith, and that no matter what negative aspects there are going on in the world, is to believe in each other and basically believe in empathy. So I think that's the key, actually, is that we've somehow, society's changes, that we've forgotten how to be empathetic. And you can easily spot somebody who doesn't have any empathy, because you see them on the news every single day in the US, and you see them in the UK. And they're very famous people, and the actions that they do and the things that they do and the things that they post, you can see that they have no empathy. And the thing about music is that, of course, it promotes empathy, because Stuart will say, as a songwriter, sometimes it's autobiographical, but sometimes you try and put yourself in a position of someone else or something else. And therefore, I think that, I think actually what I would say to musicians is to basically, keep believing, believe in empathy and believe in the good of everybody. Because although everyone wants to paint the world that it's this terrible place and people want to pit each other against each other, that's not really what it's all about. So that would be
It's largely about your age. I know I keep going on about it, but honestly, young musicians coming up and running, I've met a few and I know a few young musicians around here. You have a different attitude to music when you're younger to when you're older. All I would say is, as Tony just said, music is a universal language. It absolutely is. And whatever stage you're at in your life, you've got to recognize where you are, that stage you're at, and just enjoy where you're at that moment in time. Because when you've got less years ahead of you than you've got behind you, which is where we are, you've just got to focus on the things that are worth focusing on, the things that don't expend negative energy on anything. Just enjoy where you are, and that is so important as you get older.
The guys actually they sing my praises and say, oh, nothing would have happened because if you weren't here, we wouldn't be able to do this and whatever. But don't forget, I started from absolute zero. This would be the advice I give. I knew nothing about music production, absolutely nothing. And I think a tendency for people today, to musicians or people doing production, was just say, just go out and create. People say this. I follow people on YouTube and they just say, go out and create, rather than just bury yourself trying to learn a particular technique. It's like when I tried to learn guitar. If I'd have actually said, well, I can't actually release or write anything until I've mastered the craft of playing a guitar, I probably wouldn't have met these guys and we wouldn't have played in bands. So the thing is, the advice I would give is just basically just go out and create something. You don't need to understand everything about everything. Like in music production, I didn't know what sidechain compression was. I didn't know basically how an EQ worked, how a compressor worked. I didn't know any of these things at all. I basically just went out and said, I'm going to create something. And then basically when I want to do something, I'm going to find out how to do it. I think today a lot of people, spend hours and hours watching YouTube videos and they think they have to master every single DAW or they need to master every single piece of kit. Just go out and create something, and you just have to accept that you're going to suck at the beginning. You just have to accept that what you're going to do is crap. I did this. I listened to a lot of demos that I did on Logic Pro about 10 years ago. And I know the mistakes that I made and I cringe when I listen to them, but they were like a stepping stone, a journey on the way to sort of learning more and then getting better. So that would be my advice, is that, don't let gear get in the way either. I've wasted so much money thinking, I'll get this piece of gear and that's going to make me sound like a better musician. And you buy the piece of gear and you plug it in and you still sound as crap as you did before. So, basically gear is not the answer. Just whatever you've got, whatever amount of equipment, whether you've just got a crappy tape recorder or something, just actually just use what you have and then just actually go ahead and create. And I feel really strongly about this. Because it's been my personal. I wasted so much money on time buying equipment and gear, thinking it would somehow make me sound better, and it just didn't. You just actually got to put in the reps. You just got to learn how to do compression, learn what ratio it. You just actually just keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it, and eventually it becomes second nature. So, go out and create. Don't let gear be an excuse for not doing anything.
I just want to say one more thing.
That's it, really.
About my. At Christmas, I had my family down here. I'm lucky enough to have, with my wife now, we've got 4 grandchildren and a 5th on the way. But my daughter's son, my first grandchild, is 40. He's 16 months nearly. He's a year and 4 months old. And at Christmas, he came down with us, and we were down in the kitchen, and I had my guitar out and I was just playing some music just playing a song. I think I was playing Valerie by the Zootons to him or something or other, and just the two of us, and he was rapt attention. And my daughter Charlie said to me, my grandson's called Idris, which incidentally is a brilliant name for a grandson, but anyway, Idris was absolutely rapt attention on me. And my daughter Charlie said to me, I've never seen him like this, Dad. never seen him so rapt attention. And I said, Charlie, does he respond to music? And she said, yeah, he does, on the radio and or on the whatever. But she said, but no, he's got something in him. He absolutely loves what you're doing. And I thought to myself at that moment, I thought, okay. So I said to Eddie, one day I'm going to teach you how to play this thing. And it just made me think, it's inherent. Some people have music in their head. They're just born with it. And I'm hoping that Idris is born with it like I was. So that's all I want to say.
That's cool.
We'll have to see. But spoke like a bunch of true prodigies. All right. So everyone, we have reached the end of my podcast right here. We talked a little for 2 hours and get close to 15 minutes here. But
wow.
I guess before we close out, would you like to give any shout outs to anybody real quick?
My band members, you're all awesome.
Yeah, I'll say this name.
Sorry, go ahead. I'd like to give a shout out to a
Thank
couple of people.
you, John.
I listen to much more independent music today than I do actually real music. Well, I say real music. So I'd like to give a shout out to a couple of people who've helped me on there. There's Mish from Mishappenings, who's a great artist, and he's very supportive of me personally, and we're friends. So I follow his YouTube channel, and he's a really, really cool guy. There's also Simon from a band from Manchester called Distance from Zero. They're also really, really good guys, and they're really, really cool. And they're probably the other people that I'm really close to. There's a whole list, but those two people I'd like to give a shout out to. And a couple of radio stations were very friendly to me as well, because they support me and my music. And I mention them anyway. I mean, Belter Radio are fantastic, and they play my music every show. So I'd like to thank them. Also to Keith Chadwick, who's a friend of mine. He's a great musician. I think
Keith,
artist,
good old Keith.
his name is called Ceruleum or Ceruleum. I don't know the name of the flower blue. And his music is really unique, and I give him a shout out too. So I'd like to thank him, because he actually is someone a bit similar to me. He started out writing lots of instrumental music, and he's a very, very talented musician, and we have similar tastes. And then he decided to try and start and sing, although he's not a natural singer. And I remember over the last couple of years, we've been talking on and off on various podcasts. And I thought, wow, Keith, you've inspired me. If you can do it, I can do it. So thank you, Keith. If you're watching, you probably might watch this actually, because I'll tag him. And I'd like to thank him for his encouragement. So I probably wouldn't have actually even thought about writing and singing my own music if it wasn't for him.
My only shout out is to my wife. My wife, Claire, who is the girl from Devon. Because
Hi, Claire.
without, I can't emphasize enough. I was in a right mess 8 or 9 years ago, and I met her and everything changed, and I can't imagine life without her. So that's my only shout out. It's just her.
Good choice. All
Who
right.
said romance isn't dead?
That girl
Sorry?
from Devon.
Who said romance is dead?
Yeah. Say again?
I said, who said romance is dead?
No, yeah. No, she is the girl from Devon. She's wonderful. I'm a lucky
choice.
man.
Absolutely. Good catch, as I would say. So, all right. To close out like this.
Ben hasn't done his shout out.
Oh,
Really?
Ben, yeah, come on.
Oh yeah. Well, for me, it would probably be my partner Anne, who has to listen to me play when I'm recording. My Marshall amp is pretty loud, so she can hear it several rooms away. Well, I say several rooms, probably 2 rooms away. And
You've got
tell you
more
what,
than
a
2
shout out
rooms.
to my. Hey, I know it's good, isn't it? And also a shout out to my dad, actually, who actually got me into music in the first place. Without him, I'd never have picked up a guitar. So yeah,
You lucky man, Ben.
that's it.
That's good.
And a shout out to Brian for putting up with us for 2.5 hours.
Absolutely. You're a legend.
I'll say, it's bad when you're old and you're starting to talk a good bit of your stories right there too. So I think I'm going to be one of you guys one of these days. So, all right. But we have to do the closing like this. So everyone, my guest today was Tony, Ben, John, and Stuart. Helen. Actually, Tony's from Germany, and we got the other blokes from the UK right there. They're part of the whole group. That Sfumato Effect, but you can also catch Tony as the Kai Machine, as well as whatever the other guys here are doing here too, in terms of music-wise. But Make sure you go hit them on socials, all streaming platforms. Also, keep your eyes open for any new material they got coming out. Maybe sometime in the spring, summer. We'll have to see what happens. But keep us posted, boys, and we'll see what happens. And without further ado, you all stay safe because you know there's one pretty fucked up world out there. Rock God.
Thank
And
you,
last
Brian.
thing, I just
Good
need y'all to
man.
strike a pose. Stay tuned, yo.
Good man.
Thanks,
Cheers,
everyone.
Brian.